WrestleMania is the biggest show of the year. Nobody disputes that when it comes to professional wrestling. It is the Super Bowl of sports entertainment, if you will. So, as a wrestling fan, I find myself every year, throughout the year, anticipating what will happen at WrestleMania, what could be set in motion at WrestleMania, what type of matches we might get at WrestleMania. Even while a current WrestleMania is going on, I'm thinking about next year's WrestleMania. It's one of those predominant thoughts that I have. And I've been thinking about this for a long time, and it is especially weighing heavily on my mind now as a wrestling fan, and that is WrestleMania 31. And what I feel is a significant issue and problem for the WWE when it comes to that show, and that's the fact that, in my opinion, they really don't have a main event for their biggest show of the year. Based off of the way things are currently being packaged, being presented to you, to us, it seems like one of three options could play out in terms of what will come with the WrestleMania 31 main event. You have WWE's circle jerk utopian idea, which is Roman Reigns winning the Royal Rumble, Lesnar beating Cena at the Royal Rumble, and then Roman Reigns going on at WrestleMania to beat Brock Lesnar to become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and the company will feel that this is great, we're doing what nobody says we do, we're creating a new star, we have gotten the maximum return out of Lesnar ending the streak, Problem with this is, though, is that flat out Roman Reigns isn't ready. Furthermore, if you go into this situation where you have Reigns versus Lesnar at Mania, you have a significant threat of Lesnar being the babyface heading into that matchup, or at least having a certain segment of the audience clearly behind him, where the crowd would be split and not be as behind Reigns as he should be, especially when you are trying to launch him as a standard bearer going forward. It's a match that, especially with Lesnar maybe being done after WrestleMania, it has disaster written all over it, in my opinion. Then you've got the other option, which I think is a more effective option, but I still don't think is a great option at this point in time. And that's Reigns winning the Rumble, Cena beating Lesnar at the Royal Rumble, and then Reigns going on to beat Cena at WrestleMania. There are a few problems with this. Number one, that means that you basically had the streak end just so that way John Cena had something to do, just so that way John Cena could ultimately go over. And in this case, it would make him a 16-time world champion in the company, tying Ric Flair's record. Then you have to ask yourself, why did you bother ending the streak then if it just all went back to John Cena? Why not just have John Cena end the damn streak to begin with? Furthermore, it still doesn't deal with the issue of Roman Reigns being ready or not for that spot. And furthermore, the WWE being ready to put Reigns in that spot, which I think is even more important. While the crowd dynamics would be better because Reigns against Cena, even if there's fear about Reigns just becoming another Cena, he would still be a newer, fresher face. The crowd would turn on Cena and align themselves with Reigns. So you would get the reaction that you would desire. But how would it be booked to work? How would it work? And is there any guarantee that a Cena would do things in the right way to put Reigns over big at that event, at the biggest show of the year? There's no guarantee. Whoever really comes out the better end of it working with John Cena. And then you get what I think is just like the worst chicken shit type of scenario, and it is, I think, a realistic possibility, along with these other two options. You have Reigns win the Royal Rumble, you have Cena beat Lesnar at the Royal Rumble, and then you have this crappy-ass triple threat main event with Reigns and Cena and Lesnar, and it's just a poor allocation of resources. You're tying up both Cena and Lesnar into one WrestleMania main event when you could be splitting them off into two big type of money matches. It's a triple threat match, which, again, I don't particularly like personally, and I don't think is called for here, and it's kind of lazy booking in a way. And the crowd might definitely rebel against this because you would have Lesnar potentially leaving the company, Cena in yet another WrestleMania main event where he's the champion, and then Roman Reigns, who is being featured in a lot of ways like he's just going to be another John Cena. No matter which of these three very possible scenarios you have right now for the main event at WrestleMania 31, you have to sit there and say, yeah, none of those are all that appealing. So if none of those three options are really appealing, what happens if you call an audible like the WWE had to do this year with Batista being planned to win the Royal Rumble, win the title at WrestleMania? Things happened, things changed, and they had to go in a different direction with Daniel Bryan. You know, what if there is an audible call? Let's look at some of the options that they have here. I mean, let's be honest. You can't do Dolph Ziggler. You really can't, because what are you going to do? You're going to send him against Cena? There's no guarantee that he would actually beat Cena in that main event. Furthermore, you most certainly can't send him against Lesnar, because here's a guy in Ziggler that you had be the sole survivor in that main event of Survivor Series. Then the next month, he's opening the show. He's the IC champion. So you're not going to do there. And you can't go there. And then even like with Ryback, who the crowd is behind and the crowd likes, I think, frankly, more than Roman Reigns. I mean, he has more appeal in terms of the fact that he's gotten to a certain spot of being overpushed. Then he got kind of the rug yanked from under him and he got buried, and then he's been brought back. The crowd now relates to him better. You really can't do Ryback at this point in time either, in part because if you're the WWE, you know you're not fully sold on the guy. You're not fully behind the guy. So why sit there and do it if you're not going to go all the way with it? So what other options do you have? You could maybe have Dean Ambrose win the Royal Rumble, and then Cena beat Lesnar. And then you have Ambrose beat Cena at WrestleMania. It seems like a good alternative. You know, there could be some tremendous appeal for Ambrose versus Cena, especially if they kept Ambrose babyface, just to have a babyface with an edge versus the more clean-cut, pure type of babyface. The crowd would unanimously be behind Ambrose. Does the WWE really want Cena going into another WrestleMania main event where he's getting roundly booed? Furthermore, you have the problem of what are you going to do with Reigns and Lesnar? You know, if you're just going to do Reigns versus Lesnar, if you're going to do that match, then you might as well do it for the title. Doing it and it not being for the title is just completely and totally ridiculous. Would WWE at this point, frankly, really be willing to live on the lunatic fringe? Would they really go all the way with Dean Ambrose? I'm not sold on that. And again, this option also would mean that Cena beats Lesnar, so you ended the streak just for Cena's benefit, basically, and you end up with him as a 16-time world champion. Do you really want that? Then what's another alternative? You could have Reigns win the Royal Rumble. Cena beat Lesnar at the Rumble. Then Rollins cashes in at some point in time, either at the Rumble or afterwards. He becomes the champion. And then you get another convoluted triple threat match at WrestleMania, where at least you've got elements tying back to the Shield with Reigns and Rollins, but it's another WrestleMania main event for Cena. Furthermore, why end the streak? Just why do it? And then what about Lesnar and Ambrose? You know, that's the problem with WrestleMania in general. There are so many guys that it's hard to picture what you're going to do with them at this point in time. And that's a shame. I mean, especially if you're doing like Taker and Bray Wyatt, if you're doing Sting versus Triple H, this is a poor allocation of resources, a terribly poor allocation of resources. Now I'm looking at a guy like Dean Ambrose, and I'm saying this guy has future big star written all over him, and I can't even realistically envision what his WrestleMania match is going to be. And if you did that type of scenario, like I said right there, then what the fuck do you do with Ambrose? You're not going to do Ambrose against Lesnar, are you? Okay, let's say you did. You have Ambrose win the Rumble. You have Lesnar beat Cena, and then you do Ambrose against Lesnar. I mean, is that really going to be that believable? Is that really going to be something that the crowd would really accept and really buy into as much as they might like Ambrose? This is a guy that can't beat Seth Rollins clean. This is a guy that can't beat Bray Wyatt clean. And now we're talking about having him go and beat the guy that ended the fucking streak and completely and totally dismantled John Cena at SummerSlam, whereas Dean Ambrose has to win in some type of convoluted fashion over a John Cena. I mean, let's be realistic here. Furthermore, where would the story and the appeal be between an Ambrose and a Lesnar feuding and having a match at WrestleMania? I mean, you look at the most likely options that the WWE could set in motion. They aren't that appealing to me. You look at some of these alternatives, frankly, different scenarios that could play out. And a lot of these, for different reasons, wouldn't work, and they just aren't appealing to me either. And that's the problem here, is the WWE, in my mind, at this particular moment, doesn't have a main event for their biggest show of the year. At a time, again, seems like you say this every year, but at a time where they need to build big new stars. Furthermore, they have several people that it is even hard to envision at this point in time what they might actually be doing at WrestleMania and who they might actually be working with at WrestleMania. And frankly, you're not even sure the WWE knows who these guys are going to be working with at WrestleMania. That's a problem. That's a significant problem. You're never going to accomplish anything like that. You're never going to progress anything doing that. You're never going to make stars doing that, which is exactly why the WWE has failed to do so unanimously over the past half decade or so. It's because of crap like this. So it's a major, significant problem heading in a few months from now to their biggest show of the year. However, let it not be said that the Schleg Daddy comes with only the problems and bitches about him. The Schleg Daddy is here to present a solution to the WWE's WrestleMania 31 main event problem. Would you like to hear it? Or whether you do or not, too fucking bad. You're watching the video now. You might as well stay through to the end. What's that main event idea I have? Let me tell you now. In my opinion, in order to come up with a solution to the problem, one must set goals and understand what is needed to be accomplished and the path that needs to be taken in order to accomplish those goals. And with that WrestleMania 31 main event, here's what I think you have to have in place. You have to have Brock Lesnar still be the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. You had him end the streak. You had him destroy Cena at SummerSlam. For him not to at least walk into that biggest show of the year as a champion is ridiculous, because you could argue definitely that he was the real superstar of the year because he did the most impactful things in the time that he was around. So you've got to have Brock be the champion going into it, period. I don't even think that's negotiable at this point. You've hitched your wagon to him that much. You might as well seal the deal and finish it off at Mania with him. You need to have a new star win. I think the WWE understands this, and the WWE acknowledges this. And even as out of touch as Vince McMahon might be, he knows that it's right for business at this moment. He doesn't have a choice. It's just a matter of if the guy that he has in mind is the right individual at the right time or not. But you have to have somebody new win it, because in part the reason, the logic, the justification for ending the streak is the fact that you want to get some return on that investment, and by having somebody beat Lesnar, being the guy that ended the streak, you can continue that investment for years to come. It becomes a career-defining moment for somebody. You also need, with the match itself, a finish that isn't telegraphed, that isn't totally predictable, because we've seen enough predictability. We need something that feels kind of spontaneous, even if we thought we could kind of see it coming. We need something that feels, not incredibly scripted, not incredibly telegraphed, not incredibly predictable. We also need a finish that starts a post-WrestleMania storyline and heads right off into it. The problem with having somebody just wrestle Lesnar and beat Lesnar straight up in a match at Mania is because then you're really not carrying over anything post-WrestleMania. It kind of ends there, and then you have to start over with that new champion, that new top guy. These are the things that I think have to be in place. These are the things you have to keep in mind, and these are the goals that you have to accomplish here. And now you have to understand the path that you need to go down in order to get there. So if WWE wants to have Roman Reigns win the Rumble, that's fine. I'm okay with that because of where I want to go with this and how I want to set this up. So I'm going to have Roman Reigns win the Royal Rumble. This is a guy that eliminated 12 people last year. It's believable. It's legit that this guy could win the Royal Rumble. I want to give him a signature victory at a Big Four pay-per-view. And that's a pretty signature victory. And then I want to have Brock Lesnar beat John Cena at WrestleMania. I've got other plans for Cena. I don't need Cena in that main event. I don't want Cena in that main event because I don't think it's the right timing or the right place for him to be in the WrestleMania 31 main event. So I'm setting the table for Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 31, as is the initial, kind of plan, the WWE's utopian idea, if you will. And heading into this, I need to understand that Brock Lesnar's probably gone. In fact, I'm knowing that he's gone. If word starts to get out that it's official that Brock Lesnar is done after WrestleMania 31, that could create a very telegraphed, very predictable type of finish. I want to do everything I can to circumvent that, to create some type of element of unpredictability, some type of element of spontaneity. And therefore, as a result, I want to have the word leak out. If I'm Vince McMahon, I'm leaking it myself to Meltzer, to Keller, to Alvarez, and that's it. And let them do the work for me. I'm putting out the word that Brock Lesnar has re-signed. I'm putting out the word that he signed to a long-term deal with more dates and more everything. I'm having Lesnar and Heyman make appearances saying this. I'm making appearances as Vince McMahon saying this. You can go out and say it all you want. It doesn't make it fucking true. But if all of a sudden you do that in the weeks leading up to Mania, now all of a sudden Brock Lesnar is the champion, there's no guarantee that this guy is going to lose at WrestleMania. Now you're creating that element of spontaneity where you're saying, holy shit, I don't know what's going to happen. When you've got the audience like that, they want to watch and see what happens. And then you get to the actual match itself. What you want to avoid, in my opinion, is just creating another Cena and Roman Reigns. What you want to prevent is just having another, this is the new top guy, and we're just going to put him over like a monster and fuck everything, FTW, Roman Reigns for the win. Feels telegraphed, feels scripted, feels very predictable. No spontaneity whatsoever. I don't want to have Roman Reigns win. I want Roman Reigns to lose. And the reason I want Roman Reigns to lose is because I want fans to be able to connect with him. I want him to feel at least somewhat like a non-Cena. I want him to feel like a guy that I can get behind. I want him to feel like a guy that has gotten close but didn't quite get over the summit, didn't quite reach the mountaintop, didn't just have it automatically handed to him. There's more appeal there. There's more ability to connect with him there. There's more likability there. It also buys more time to work on Reigns and really get him ready for at some point in time when you are able to put that belt on him and you can make a big star and have a huge successful run out of it with him. I've got to have Brock Lesnar go over here. I've got to have him beat Roman Reigns. You can make Reigns look like a monster and still have Brock Lesnar go over. Because especially now you get to WrestleMania and you've put out the word that Lesnar is re-signed and he's re-signed long-term, fans start to think again that this guy might not be around until fucking SummerSlam as the champion. I hate this shit. This fucking sucks. This is stupid. And I like Reigns, the fact that he fought hard. He went up against this monster. He put up a better fight than Cena did. He put up a better fight than Taker did. You know, this guy's pretty badass. He just didn't get it done this time. And you do it in a way where Lesnar has to hit multiple F5s on Roman Reigns. It almost feels like Lesnar worked the match as a kind of dominant heel in the sense that he felt still lucky to get out of Dodge with the title. And then you have Brock Lesnar stand there, and he kind of looks down at Reigns in that way that Lesnar can. And he kind of kicks at Reigns a little bit, and he mocks him, and he taunts him. And then he's doing his little celebration around the ring after he's won, and everybody's like, what the fuck's going on here? Brock Lesnar's the WWE World Heavyweight Champion still. I didn't see this fucking coming. Then that's when you have Roman Reigns Superman punch him. Then you have him spear him. And fans are like, that's kind of cool. You know what? Fuck yeah, he didn't win the match, but this dude's a badass. He's not going to sit there and shake his hand. He's not going to sit there and cry and mope. He's going to sit there and say, fuck you. You beat me, but you're not going to taunt my ass. That's for damn sure. I'm not taking that like a bitch. I'm a fucking man. I'm Roman Reigns, bitches. So you get an establishment of Roman Reigns being a different type of guy, while at the same point in time not presenting him like another John Cena, which again is the big fear that I have. And I want to avoid that. I want fans to be able to connect with Roman Reigns. I want them to be able to get behind Roman Reigns. So that way you have Roman Reigns now. And then all of a sudden, here comes Seth Rollins. And I'd even have him come out of the crowd. Screw the predictable fucking music. I'd maybe even have Seth Rollins wearing fucking disguise and everything. He hits Roman Reigns with the fucking briefcase, and then he reveals who he is. And there's Seth Rollins, and there's the realization. He's taken out Roman Reigns. Brock Lesnar is down. He hands over the briefcase. He cashes in his Money in the Bank opportunity, and he curb stomps Brock Lesnar 1, 2, 3. And you have Seth Rollins become the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Right there. After that, you can have Rollins sit there and dance around and celebrate. He's pulled off this tremendous coup, this awesome thing that nobody freaking saw coming, something that everybody could go back on the internet that night and jerk off to. But you've also created a new star, a guy that you feature very prominently on television for the past several months now. He's been a linchpin of what you've done. He was your Money in the Bank winner. Did you want to really sit there and have another Money in the Bank winner not cash in successfully? Did you really want to have a Money in the Bank winner cash in on somebody like a Reigns or an Ambrose or even a Cena as a champion? Would that be the right thing to do, especially if a Reigns or an Ambrose is a champion? Did you really want Rollins to cash in on them and end their title reigns early? No, that's not the case at all. I think this is the ideal situation. When you think about it this way, you could even after that have Reigns kind of sit there outside of the ring and look up, and you get that kind of money shot of Reigns can't wait to get his hands on that son of a bitch because he was able to get this moment, this opportunity that he wants so bad. And now you're launching off into Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins post-WrestleMania where you have story to it with the whole Shield and the Shield breakup and Rollins being the one that turned on the group story playing out. And you've got a Reigns that it's not automatically an assumption that he's going to go over clean. He's got more likability to him. He's got more reason for you as an audience to connect with him. It's just a win-win-win, just fucking do it type of scenario. It avoids giving Reigns the Cena treatment. It gives Rollins a huge fucking rub. It ensures that we get a never-before-seen WrestleMania moment because of all the things we have seen at WrestleMania over the years. The one thing we have never seen is a Money in the Bank winner cash in successfully at WrestleMania. At some point in time, it's got to happen. And I think this is the year for it to happen. I think it has to be. It covers also the WWE for Reigns not being ready. You also get the chance to kind of try out and see how Roman Reigns is on the biggest stage. You get to see whether or not he really is a main event player. And no matter what, you know, even if he's not ready and you don't know for sure if he's ever going to be a main event player, you've got this moment here with Seth Rollins that'll cover up for every fucking thing involving that Reigns-Lesnar match. It also accomplishes what needs to be accomplished, setting in motion right away a very hot, very intriguing, very interesting, very layered post-WrestleMania storyline between Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, where Rollins is that slimy type of edge, ultimate opportunist champion, and Roman Reigns is the babyface that should be better, that should win, and somehow doesn't find a way to get it done. There's a lot of appeal there. There's a lot of history there. There's a lot of story there. And it would work tremendously. And it would also make sure that you utilize Brock Lesnar to the most of his abilities. You still manage to have Brock Lesnar go over Roman Reigns. So even in this case, Brock Lesnar is a freaking monster. You've still given appeal to Roman Reigns in the sense that he could beat anybody. You think he might beat anybody, but it's not a guarantee automatically, predictably, that he's going to beat everybody. And you still were able to utilize Lesnar in a way where you were able to give, in this case, two guys that are going to be the future of your company, 2 under 30 stars, a huge freaking rub. Lesnar wrestling Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania and Reigns coming this close, and then Seth Rollins being able to cash in via the curb stomp on Brock Lesnar would be a tremendous moment. And it would be the most meaningful and effective way to utilize Brock Lesnar, in my opinion. If you were going to have him in the fucking streak, if you were going to have him go over like he did at SummerSlam against John Cena, this is what you have to do to get the most return out of that. This is how you can best incorporate and utilize Brock Lesnar at your biggest damn show of the year. So you could have Reigns win the Rumble. You could have Lesnar stay the champion heading into Mania. And I think it's fine. I think it works perfectly. I could still do John Cena versus Dean Ambrose if the company is insistent on doing Taker and Bray Wyatt. It's Sting versus Triple H. I've still got something for Cena and Ambrose to do. I can have Ambrose go over there, and I'm going to have Ambrose go over there because it needs to be about more than John Cena. Furthermore, Cena also needs to understand, and would be understanding if I'm the boss, that this is good for business. This is what is going to happen because at some point in time we could come back to you and Ambrose. This is also setting up the table for all of 2015 going forward until December of what my title feuds are going to look like. I'm going to have Reigns versus Rollins. And then I could return to Rollins versus Ambrose again. Or I could go to Reigns versus Cena and then Reigns versus Ambrose. There's all types of options and possibilities for the entire year remaining of 2015 that could be set in motion in one night, in one match, the main event of WrestleMania 31. I think this is the only option for the WWE. And it's not just because it's my option. Partially because it's my option. But I think this is the option that accomplishes the most. This is the option that works the best. And this is the option that sets the company up the best going forward throughout the rest of 2015 and beyond. So I'm hoping and praying that over the next couple of months, the WWE realizes that the straight-on traditional path of what they're trying to head to, one of the 3 options they have involving Reigns becoming the champion at WrestleMania, is not the way to go. It's not going to work. It's going to blow up in their face. Here they can still get a lot of the elements of what they want, but do so much more and make it a truly successful, truly iconic type of WrestleMania main event, something that we get far too few of nowadays with today's WWE. WWE has a huge problem with WrestleMania 31. They don't have a main event, but they could. They could take this negative and turn it into a huge positive. Will they? Only time will tell, but my guess would probably be no.